Building a $10,000 per month agency really shouldn't take you any more than 60 minutes per day, 5 times a week. Now, I'm going to explain to you why. Most people, when they're first starting their agency, end up falling into this time trap. And this time trap, if you're in it, is so deadly that you end up never seeing results, and then you quit, and then you go and continue working a job you hate, and you never ever make money online. It's only those that see what they actually have to be doing every single day to drive their agency forward that actually go on to become successful online. So I want you to picture a sailor in the middle of the ocean, right? He's on this boat, and in this boat, there's a few cracks here and there, and it's causing this boat to flood. All day long, every single day, the boat is just flooding and flooding and flooding. What this sailor's doing, just to stay afloat so that he doesn't end up drowning and dying, is he's having to manually scoop out buckets of water out of this boat every single day, pouring them out all day long. That's all he's doing. And he's just staying afloat. He's not going to drown, he's not going to die, but he's just staying afloat. What he really needs to do is get back to land, but he can't because he's spending all day long emptying these buckets of water out. So what that sailor needs to do is he needs to prioritize and find a way of how he can actually row that boat back to shore so that he can get back to land. Now, when I was first starting my agency, I was focused on so many different things. The perfect website, finding the perfect domain name, trying to learn and understand how to do all the service delivery before I've even spoken to a client, trying to guess the certain niche that I needed to be in, and then building out presentations around that. And the problem with that is you end up focusing on tasks that don't actually take you to your end goal. Now, just like the sailor, his end goal is to get back to land. He needs to get back to shore, right? He needs to see his family. He needs to see his kids, mate. He went out to catch a couple of fish and he's been gone years because he's just been sat there shoveling buckets of water out of this boat. So what should he do? Well, he needs to fix the boat. He needs to plug the holes to stop it flooding. So what happens once he stops it flooding? Well, once he stops it flooding, he can then empty the buckets of water out and there's no more water coming into this boat, which frees up his time to go and row back home to see his wife and kids. So that is literally you right now. If you are an agency owner and you're focusing on building the perfect website, creating a cool logo, trying to perfect the copy on the website, these are all tasks that don't take you closer to your goal. So you need to plug the hole in your boat, and the hole for you is actually going out there and landing a client. Maybe it's not even landing a client, it's actually just speaking to a client. It's doing tasks in your day that drive you closer to that goal of landing a client and generating money in your agency. Now, of course, there is a time and place to do these smaller tasks, but when you're first getting started out, you need to identify what the 10x tasks are going to be. Is it going to be doing your website? Is it going to be watching 10 YouTube videos trying to learn service delivery before you've even gone and spoke to someone? Probably not. The 10x tasks for you are going out there to business owners, trying to spark up a conversation so that you can collect data and actually understand what pain points they have so you can then position an offer towards them. You may find that inside of your network, or just through the conversations that you end up having, you end up speaking to a certain demographic of client, and these are the opportunities that arise for you. And you wouldn't have had that opportunity if you wouldn't have just gone out there and started speaking to them. You would have probably been sat there guessing, who's going to be the best client that I should be going after? Should I be going after dentists because that's what everyone else is doing? Or should I be going for accountants because I've watched a YouTube video where some guy's going after accountants? No, it's all custom to you. So to get that information and to find out where you need to start, you need to go out and start having these conversations. And unless you do that, you are no better than the sailor sat in the middle of the ocean, emptying buckets of water out of his boat all day, every day, never ever getting any closer to his goal. So look, at the beginning of this video, I said that you can build a 10K per month agency in 60 minutes per day, 5 days a week. And I'm about to give you step by step how I think you should go about doing that. Because realistically, it should only take you 60 minutes per day. Because if you're not focused on all these low quality and low impact tasks, and you're only putting time and effort into the 10x stuff, then there is no reason why you shouldn't see any results. And I'm not saying that, you wake up every morning, you spend 1 hour per day, and then you go about the rest of your day picking your nose, trying to figure out what else to do. Obviously not. I want you to actually throw yourself deep into this. If you want to make money in the AI space or the agency space in general, you need to give it everything and you need to put in a ton of energy and effort. So what I want you to do is reprioritize your day. Spend 60 minutes on this 10x stuff so that you can start to build a habit of doing these tasks that take you closer to that goal. Now, of course, you can do other tasks in your day like fixing your website and all of that good stuff, but that comes after we've collected data and once we've actually started having these conversations. The truth is, if you're honest with yourself, you could probably sit there and say, okay, right now, I'm doing tasks that don't actually mean anything. You're telling yourself you're being productive. You're telling yourself you need to do these things up front, but the reality is you don't. You need to be out there trying to land clients. So I had to have a harsh slap of reality when I looked at this a few years back, because our presentations looked great, our website was looking good, and we pat ourselves on the back every single week, like, oh, brilliant job this week, guys, like killing it. The agency is going to be such a success. But did we go and speak to any clients? No. Did we land any clients? No. So the reality is our agency was doomed to fail because we never did the tasks that actually needed to be done. The most success I've ever seen in any business that I've ever started is, let's say I'm in this boat, I fix any leaks, I prioritize onto the core 10x tasks that I need to be doing. And then as I'm rowing that boat back, as I'm building that business, I can start to fix other issues as they arise, or I can start to make changes as I start to collect data. And that is the mindset, and that is the structure that you need to follow. You need to be obsessed with just getting started quickly, executing fast, and then figuring out the bits as you go, because you're never going to get it right. If you're sat there guessing before you've even spoken to a client, what are you doing? It's never going to work, mate. So look, here is the system that I need you to start implementing. 60 minutes every single day, 5 days a week. And if this doesn't work, then come back to me in 6 months' time and tell me I'm wrong. Number one, I want you to spend 60 minutes thinking about the ideal client that you want to work with. Who is it that you have inside of your network already? Who do you know that has a business? Or who do you know that knows someone who has a business that they can then introduce you to? Think about the experience you have. Have you worked in an accountancy before? Have you been on the reception team for a company before, in a hotel maybe? Or have you worked for an e-com brand or run an e-com brand before? If you have these experiences already, or you have access to people in your network already that have these types of businesses, then that's already a massive win. And that's going to be the first place that you need to start. So analyzing your network and your experiences is a 10x task, because it's then going to allow you to make a decision on the next step, which is identifying where these clients actually exist online. You know, let's say you do have dental practices in your network and you've spoken to some dental practices and you've got feedback from them and maybe you understand their pain points. Well, where else can you go and find more dental practices? Is it going to be cold calling? Probably not. I used to do that in SMMA, and all I would do is running to reception desks who would never let me through to speak to the decision maker. So chances are you're going to find them on LinkedIn. Maybe you'll be able to find the owners of the clinic on email, and you can scrape the leads and send out cold email campaigns to them. We just want to identify where they exist online and the type of outreach we need to be doing to scale in that industry or that niche. And you may find that, you know, within your network, there's a guy who makes rocket ships for NASA, and you think that that's going to be your niche. But the reality is, it's probably not, because there's not that many guys that do that, right? So when it comes to picking your niche and understanding who it is you're actually going to be going after, you need to actually make sure that it makes sense and there is some room for growth there. So step one, who do we have in our network? Step two, where can we find more of them? And then step three is going to be reaching out to these people. Now, we're not reaching out to them trying to sell them into something. We don't even know the problems that they have yet. We don't even know what it is we are going to be selling. So instead of that, instead of going out with sales outreach, go out with feedback outreach. Go out asking questions, asking them for feedback on what pain points they currently have right now. Where are they looking to be using AI in the business? Have they considered using AI? Are they already using AI? Go out there and just become a discovery expert. Ask them as many questions as you can. Try to get them on a call. You aren't selling anything. You just need to speak to them. And this is the key that a lot of people miss. And this is why we've been able to make so much money with our agency. We've become experts at asking questions and digging into the pain points into our specific clients, so that our offer is then tailored around all of this data that we've collected. And that's exactly what you need to be doing as well. Once you have this data, that is when you can start building a website that speaks to these pain points and bridges that gap for those clients to take them to their goals. But if you try to do that before you understand this and before you've even had these conversations, you don't know, you're just guessing. And if you're just guessing in business, that is always dangerous and scary. And it inevitably always ends up with you having to make changes ongoing or wasting time doing things that just didn't really bring you any benefit or drive you closer to your goal. And then the final step, the fourth step, is we need to be analyzing and tracking all of this data that we have. If you're going out there trying to have all of these different conversations with business owners, have a place where you store all that information. Have a place where you document the conversations that you've had. Use Read AI, which is a tool that records all of these calls. Start collecting everything so that you've got a bank of resources and a bank of knowledge that you can rely on and use moving forward in when it comes to building your offer, your outreach campaigns, your LinkedIn messaging, your presentations, your website copy. Collect everything and actually use this data. I used to do it all the time. I'd jump on these calls with people, I'd have these great conversations and dig in and ask the right questions. And I wouldn't even record it. I wouldn't even make notes. So stupid. So you need to make sure that the data you're collecting is actually being used. And you need to get really granular and analytical about this because it's going to help you so much when it comes to building your agency to that 10K per month mark. There are so many people inside of the network right now that have taken their agency to 10K per month. And the only reason why they've done that is because they've tactically decided on who they want to be selling to and what they're going to be selling because they've actually gone out there and spoken to clients before they've even tried to guess anything, right? So look, if you follow those 4 steps over the week, there is no way that you don't start to drive your agency forward, start having conversations with business owners and actually start landing clients. And I'm not sat here saying that, yes, you only need to spend 60 minutes per day. You know that's not the case. You need to be working very hard to make this a success. Otherwise, every man and his dog would be doing it. But for me, building an agency is about keeping it simple, especially when you're first getting started out. You need to look at those 10x tasks. You need to be focusing on things that are actually pushing you towards your goals rather than pretending to be productive on these really small, minute tasks that don't drive you to your goal. So what I really want you to do is look at yourself, say, am I actually doing the things that I need to be doing? Or am I just stuck in this trap of thinking that I'm doing the right things when the reality is I'm not? And it's a hard discussion you've got to have with yourself, but I promise you it will help you. So that is the main point for this video. Hopefully it gives you some value. I'm here on a Sunday in my pants looking at the beautiful skyline in Dubai, and all I can think about is helping you lovely people here on the YouTubes. Smash a like if it helped you, and then that gives me good analytics on whether this video is something that people actually get value from and like. But yeah, stop being a sailor, emptying buckets out of your boat, and get on the old oars, mate, and paddle yourself back to your family because they're hungry. Little Johnny needs these fish that you've been catching. So get out there and row those boats.